Hey friend, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com. Today I'm going to show you how to mix vocals in just 10 minutes. Vocals, when sung well and recorded well, should be relatively straightforward to mix, to at least get a good mix. Granted, there's a lot of creative things you can do in a mix, but what I want to show you today is the simple, fast, straightforward approach to cleaning up a well-sung vocal and getting it way more upfront and radio ready and polished for your mix. Think of this as a starting point. I'm sure you will treat your vocals a little bit differently based off of the song, the vocalist, the microphone, how it fits with the rest of the mix. But here are some of my go-to tricks to getting a great vocal mix in just 10 minutes. Here's a little bit of one of my tracks on my recent EP with Ill Factor, Grammy-nominated producer and super talented overall dude. It's called You Don't Know Me. I'll play you a little bit of the mix with the raw vocal, and then I'll walk you through the plugins I'm using. They're just about all stock plugins and show you how you can do this with all stock plugins.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight. I am so ashamed,
By itself.
seeking pleasure from whatever and I just can't satiate.
So it's clean. I recorded it here in my studio. It's just mic, preamp into Pro Tools, okay? It had a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression on the way in, but I always do those pretty lightly, and it was working fine. All right, so it sounds good. I mean, I'm biased, it's me, but I think the vocal quality is good. I think it's very usable. There's no major problem. So if you're starting with a major problematic vocal, you might do more aggressive stuff on the EQ, which I'm about to show you. But if you have a pretty much decent vocal there, then you're gonna just need some simple steps. When I hear this in the mix,
I am about to break.
it sounds dry. It sounds a little woofy. There's something in the low mids there. And it seems to just get buried a little bit on certain phrases, like this little thing. I feel like there's some of those notes I want to hear more of. And then later on in the verse, it picks up and I can hear him better.
But you don't know what it's really like to be shadow on the inside.
But some words get swallowed up. So we need to take all of this, clean it up, put it more up front, and give it a little bit of pizzazz and polish. Here's how we do it. We start with EQ. This is your secret weapon to all things mixing, especially vocals. And what I've done with a simple stock EQ is 3 simple go-to moves. I've used a high-pass filter, which is this little gray thing here, which is doing a low cut. It's the same thing, low cut, high-pass filter. If you see HPF or LC, they are the same tool. They're rolling off low end, which is going to clean up any air conditioning rumble or low frequency noise that's getting through your walls from the outside, like a car going by or a truck going by. And it's going to clean up some of the woofiness that your mic will pick up that isn't necessary for a clear, intelligible vocal. And so it cleans all of that up without taking away anything useful from the lead vocal. So I will roll up to about 100 hertz. Then I'm doing a little low cut in the low mids. This is around 250 hertz is where I landed, but I find that sometimes vocals, the microphones pick up what's called the chest voice. It's like this resonance coming off of your chest into the microphone that can add warmth and character, but sometimes it can be a little too much. And if you notch out 3 to 6 dB of whatever frequency sounds the weirdest when you boost and sweep around, it cleans up the vocal magically. And then the third thing I'm just doing is a little bit of a high shelf. And I'm doing this, in this case, at around 5.8, 6K. And I'm just doing 2 dB boost here. So I'm just lifting everything at around 6K and up by 2 dB, which is just going to open up some of the brightness. So if we just listen to the vocal by itself and then turn the EQ on, you'll hear kind of what it's doing. This will be probably the most subtle, but it's cleaning up the vocal a little bit more.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight. I am so ashamed, seeking pleasure from whatever and I just can't satiate.
It's a little more upfront, a little clearer, And this will be very obvious to you if your vocal is muddy or overly warm and getting buried in the mix. This is how you create clarity in the vocal. So I start with an EQ. Then once I've done that, you'll notice 2 of the EQ moves are cuts. I'm cleaning up stuff, which allows me to reveal what's good about the vocal and enhance that. That's why the second tool I will use is a compressor. Here's the stock compressor in Pro Tools. I just went for the vocal comp preset and then tweaked the settings. What you want to look at is a couple of things with lead vocals. Ratio. Have a gentle ratio if it is not an aggressive song. This would be this has kind of got some aggressive moments, but a 2-to-1 ratio is a great starting place for vocals. If you got a really aggressive rock or really aggressive rap vocal, then 4-to-1 can work great as well. So start between 2 and 4-to-1 ratio, then look at the threshold, and you dial the threshold down until you start to see the gain reduction meter. You have to look at a meter to know where to set the threshold. This is not an arbitrary knob. So I'm just looking to see about 3 to 6 dB of gain reduction on the loudest peaks. So that's what I'm setting my threshold at. And then attack and release, you can leave kind of in the middle. You can have medium attack, medium release, but you can also go faster attack if you really want to grab the vocal if it's not getting compressed enough. And then the final thing is you just turn the output gain or the makeup gain up a little bit so that you're getting your volume back up to where it was. So the peak volume stays the same. You're just basically turning down the loud parts of the vocal and not really affecting the quiet parts. So this makeup gain knob is bringing up the quiet parts to better match the loud parts. That's what compressors do in vocals. So you'll see it visually here and you'll hear it as well.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight. I am so ashamed.
So take a listen to how it's affecting phrases that are quiet. So if I let you look at it visually here, this first phrase,
I am about to break.
with a compressor,
I am about to break.
kind of moves everything forward a little bit. The second phrase right here,
It's getting heavy on my shoulders.
it's getting heavy. The it's getting is a quiet part, and then it jumps up in volume. So the compressor is going to help bring that it's getting part up to better match the louder part. So before,
It's getting heavy on.
after.
It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
Turns up that little part. So all we're doing is a simple compression technique to just even out the vocals a little bit more. And it's going to turn down the loud vocals here so it keeps them in line.
But you don't know what it's really like to be shadow on the inside.
See, it's containing those, and then it's allowing these quieter phrases to better match it. Some people like to hit their compressors hard. I just like to hit them a little bit softer and then duplicate the compressor after the compressor. So I have 2 compressors. I call it stacked compression. It's a little bonus tip for you, doing another gentle compression on top of it.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
That's giving me really nice upfront vocals, especially in context with the mix.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
Love it. It makes your vocal, every word stick out and not get swallowed up. If you find that you have a really harsh S, then just grab a de-esser. Your Pro Tools comes stock with this. Your DAW probably comes with one of these. These are real simple. It's kind of like a compressor and an EQ in one, where it's only going to listen for whatever high-pitched frequencies you want it to listen for. And there's a listen knob that you can find out what S's are the most egregious. Like this one, it's getting heavy. Let's listen in solo and just listen on the listen button.
It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
So it's getting heavy. I felt like 6K was around where the S's were egregious. And so you can pick if it's 7K, 8K, because different S's show up in different frequencies. And all it does is compress or turn down the high frequencies only when those S's occur. So it can kind of clean up a vocal where you have harsh S's. So that's a little bonus tip for you. So far we've just cleaned it up with some quick EQ, rolled off lows, rolled off some sort of low mids that are a little woofy, given it a little bit of a high frequency shelf so it's a little brighter and more forward. Gentle compression, 3 to 6 dB, right? Just to get the lower phrases to come back up a little bit. Stack it with a copy of that. So now you're compressing the already compressed sound. Add a de-esser if you've got some egregious S's like I felt like I did, at least on this microphone. And you've got a really clean vocal that's come a long way. Just before we do the final thing here, which I'm going to show you what this sounds like before.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
Way more up front, right? Way more crystal clear, and it's really important in the mix. Final step, I love ambience. You can do reverb or delay, and I'm just a bigger fan of delays than reverb, so I like short reverbs, and in this case, I'm using Echo Boy's slap delay, and I'm using their dirty slap preset, which is a really great go-to, but any kind of short slap. Pro Tools has some great delays, and for the longest time, I've used those as well for all my delays. So you can do this with a stock delay, but the key is to have a very short delay. And then I like to use filters. The one on Echo Boy has a low cut and a high cut, so you can roll off low end and roll off top end for the delay so that it's not full frequency. It's more of like a telephone effect on the delay, so it won't compete with the lead vocal. But if you like to do delays, you can do them in one of two ways. You can either put it right on the track like I'm doing here, which I rarely do, but I did because I had this setting on there when I was just testing the vocals and recording the vocals. In fact, I recorded through this setting because I wanted to hear the slap and I really liked it. And so when you put it directly on the track, you need to use the mix knob or the wet dry knob. So most of it is going to be dry and just a little bit of wetness. So you hear most of the dry lead vocal and then a little bit of the effect underneath it. Typically, though, I will route the vocal with a send to another track where I've got the delay on full 100% wet, and then I just use the send to adjust how much I want. But in this case, this is an easy way to do it, and you can hear what this sounds like.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight.
Right? It's pretty cool. You can play with how much feedback, how much echo you want. Sound Toys does a great job with their tools, have a lot of saturation knobs on there. So I really liked Echo Boy, but the idea is a short slap can give it a really cool effect. And I put a lot of it on here. Sometimes you just want a little bit. I put it on as an obvious effect. So our lead vocal really has come a long way. What I'll do is go through and I will turn on or off all the plugins we did to really take this lead vocal to where it is today.
I am about to break. It's getting heavy on my shoulders and I just can't hold the weight. I am so ashamed, seeking pleasure from whatever and I just can't satiate. But you don't know what it's really like to be shadow on the inside. Nothing but a vapor or a mist that blows away.
And there you have it. That's how I would mix vocals. And to do it quickly, I took more time to explain it to you. It won't even take you 10 minutes to do this. It's just EQ, compression, and maybe some delay. And honestly, if you like the dry vocal sound, you can skip the delay and just do EQ and compression, and that'll get you 90% of the way there. It's all about clearing up the vocal, and then once you've done that, presenting it as upfront as you possibly can with at least one compressor, sometimes two, to stack that compression and get that upfront radio ready sound. I hope this is helpful to you. If you want to go a little bit deeper in your mixing journey, if you want to see my entire mixing process, I have an 8-step mixing process that I follow. I literally follow these 8 steps. I'm relatively linear as a personality, so it helps me get a consistent mix every time. And I want to give you my 8-step mixing checklist. Just click the link below the video or go to mixingchecklist.com, and it's going to give you a PDF that walks you through all 8 steps, some cool tricks for each step along the way to get the best mix possible, whatever genre you're working on. I'm also going to give you a set of multi-track stems that you can download and import into your software and mix and practice on. on if you want another set of tracks to practice your chops and get your mixing chops up, and a couple of other bonus videos in there just for some goodies for joining the list there and getting that guide. So get my mixing checklist below or at mixingchecklist.com. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It means a ton. I know you're there. I see you and I appreciate you. I hope you're staying healthy and safe during all this, and I'll see you on another video real soon.